So today we are releasing the official Memory Lane 1.90. I'm going to do a little bit of an introduction here on the changes of this new template for those who are not aware of what I've been working on. Hello, Mr. Miscellaneous. How you doing? So, essentially, the main idea behind this update was to rebalance a little bit of the rush versus build dynamic. I've also made a lot of minor changes, hero changes, skill changes, and I'll go through some of these right now. This will be recorded in case you want to check it out. So first of all, let's look at the hero changes. I've removed Adrian, as she's known to be extremely powerful. I've also removed Deemer. I considered adding Jedi, but we ended up deciding Jedi's a little bit too strong in some ways. So no more Deemer, no more Adriani. I've also removed a few boring, non-fun heroes. I've added a bunch of heroes, mostly those who have learning and stone skin, and one hero with eagle eye in case somebody wants to play with the skill. Labetha is added, she is added. Those are two that I really like. I think stone skin is a really good skill, and it's good to add it to the template. Recently with 1.73, Eupherton was buffed, because now he gets even more dwarves. So I added Eupherton for anybody who wants to play Eupherton. I removed Grindin. Yeah, he's not in the list, but Grindin is removed. I'll have to fix that. Thank you, Naoyas. I can double check that quickly. But yeah, I'll make sure he's removed because I like Labetha more. Because Labetha has earth, but also has stone skin, which is more useful because it's buffed. So I think she can be good. Alright, so those are the hero changes. Nothing major. But some of these heroes I really like. Skill changes. So what kind of changes do we have to the skills? We removed first aid, removed interference. The reason I removed first aid was because nobody liked playing with first aid, and it always felt like whenever you were forced into it, you can never find a tent, and so it felt useless. However, we kept the first aid heroes, so if everybody likes playing with first aid, they can play with those heroes. Interference was removed. The reason why interference is removed is because it made might heroes so much stronger than mages. Because at the end of a very long game, a mage is going to have fewer might stats, but they're going to have magic stats. But then with full interference gear, the might hero would dominate mages, and this happened almost every game. It was really bad to go mages, but this balances it out a little bit. So mages are more viable. So we've added leadership and learning to replace the two. Learning is a really great skill, although it's been nerfed very recently. 1.73 nerfed it a little bit. Still a very good skill. And leadership is always good in ML because of all the different unit types you end up having, right? So these are the skill changes. I think it makes the game more fun. Rules and settings. So no more round limits. I've decided that I don't like forcing a win just because you were able to wait 100 turns. I don't think it's very realistic for how battles work and how war works. There is usually a party that wins, and if not, both parties stalemate, and it's like a draw. Now, some players may try to abuse biome gaming or doing shops and trying to do like 200-300 round battles, but I think that is also definitely forgotten. It's definitely forbidden. Nobody's allowed to do that. And if anybody abuses battle turns versus AI, then that's considered cheating. Like there should still be like 100 soft limit. Going past 100 is only for PvP for the Finalka. Because I want to see Finalka's finish. I don't want to see like somebody blinding and then the other guy being like, well, I have to GG, I'm blinded. I never like that. So now you fight it out. What up, Bruno? What up, Nawias? What up, Joe Macon? So these are the rules and settings. I've added an Excel plus U mode because the original memory lane, the original 6LM10A was Excel plus U. So we've added that as well. Treasury and break. So some big changes here. Nerf the treasury zones. So both treasury zones. So the STZ was nerfed from 285 to 230. And then the big treasure zone was nerfed from 397 to 307. This is to reward. This is to kind of reduce how much a player is rewarded for rushing the treasure zone, because they're going to find fewer, you know, content of value, things like, you know, boxes, tier 6, tier 7 boxes, relics. It's going to reduce the likelihood of them because the overall value is reduced. Deploy in the big treasure zone is reduced to hostile, so their temperament is set to hostile, meaning they're less likely to join you. It is the only zone in memory lane where it's not set to friendly, because the treasure zone, the desert treasure zone, has the highest value guards, like up to 50k value for the crystal dragons. So getting a joiner there is insanely strong, and essentially it would be game winning if you had like a big guard joining you at the right time. Also reduce the max hives and pickets in the wasteland zone to 3 instead of 4, which is now more similar to the rough treasury zone, the other STZ. I've also buffed the values of the breaks to enter the treasure zone. So the STZ treasure zone is now 16k, the big treasure zone is now 24k. This is to reduce how quickly one can break into the treasure zones and start farming creature banks and such. So it makes it a little bit harder, less likely to be able to break 1-to-1. Usually you'd have to wait a little bit longer now. I've also made the break to opponent easier. Instead of 32k is 28k. This is to make it easier to rush on the road because that always gets punished. Rushing on the road to opponent has not been in the 1.82 meta. It's the main strategy has been instead to go into the treasure zones, farm, get control. Okay, so treasury and break. Next, we're gonna look at spells. So I made a few changes here. I've nerfed a little bit of the Mage Guild builders because I haven't nerfed the treasury rushers. So I gotta nerf the Mage Guild builders a little bit too. So the biggest thing is I removed Armageddon. I think the Armageddon meta was fun. However, it's good to have a version where it's not the main strategy. Armageddon has been a strategy that all players employ. It is way too strong to ignore. You can get a Phoenix stack or a Freedy stack. Having Armageddon basically means it's GG for your opponent because it's too strong at the right time. So that's removed. Orb of the Firmament is removed to reduce the importance of Chain also. I added Inferno to take the place of Armageddon. Added Fire Shield that you can use with Sorcery Specialists. And I added Magic Mirror. That is to reduce how strong the factory and the tower mage guilds are. So that slows down the builders a little bit too. But the builders is still a good strategy for sure. So another big change here is level 5 spell boxes, all air spell boxes can no longer spawn in the 3k vicinity. That makes for 5 zones total on each side where it cannot spawn. That means you're less likely to find it on the map, and you're much less likely to find it early. So that is also a nerf to the rushers. So a little bit of a balance change here for the spells. Miscellaneous balance changes. So one thing is I buffed the town gates frequency from 350 to 500. You are now much more likely to find a town gate. Treasuries now have 4 town gates instead of 3. You're going to find a lot more gold and resource banks, things like Black Towers, Dwarven Treasuries. It's going to feel more balanced. Crystal Dragons are added to Big Treasure Zone. This is to replace the Rust Dragons that have been removed. And then more wood and ore warehouses, so you're less likely to be stuck without any wood and ore. So the Big Treasure Zone, Rust Dragons are removed. Fairy Dragons, only 1 dwelling, 1 box max. Magic Dwellings removed from all treasure zones. And then the Hourglass of the Igor Hour was removed. Colosseum of the Magi limited to 1 per zone because mages are pretty strong now. And without the interference skill, we had to nerf that a little bit. And then Griffin Conservatories can no longer be found in the 3K in the main zone, because those zones, if you find like a size 1 console in those zones, it's way too strong. You gotta go a little bit further out to find a Griffin Conservatory. So one more thing that's not in these slides is that the 3K zone here, so you cannot see my mouse, which sucks. So the 3K zone will no longer have a fort. You gotta go the other way, you gotta go towards your 6K to get a fort. And then, so your 6K, and then the 6K after that, right before the 24K, 28K, right before that, those have forts, but the regular 3K doesn't have a fort. So if you wanna zone a town with a fort, you go the opposite direction. So this rewards the player going 6K a little bit more. So it becomes more of a viable strategy to go 6K instead of 3K, because you have forts, and then it's an easier break to get to opponent, and there is potential spell boxes. If you go 6K, 6K, you can get level 5 boxes. Whereas 3K, 3K, you won't until you get to the Inferno Zone. It's 3K, 3K, 6K. This is all very confusing, but feel free to ask any questions. But for now, this is how it's released. And let's give it a try. Actually, we've been testing it for months and months now, so we know how it is. But let's play some games. Anybody want to play?